promises of Zacharias lost in time. We're unbound by myths that rhyme. Together we'll rewrite our fate. Ahead of time we'll celebrate. Queen's crown awaits, as does my king. The future's ours, let the heavens sing. No fear for lore of priests gone past. In love and rule our legacy will last.
My nephew once asked me why I was always so angry. I write here within my audio the answer to his question. As with Kytheros, the keeper from over 1,000 years ago, I was blessed to see not one but two blinding aura. Identical twins can be so close to one another that it is unremarkable to see both. When I saw the aura, I was joyous. How blessed to see the aura of my Kaylee on the eve of my birthday, and know how extraordinary the blessings of deity. I had loved Charity for years, and I was overjoyed to know that she would be my Kaylee. And then, in a moment of clarity, I felt as if deity was mocking me. The sisters' hands were clasped, but when they separated, I saw the separation as if it was an immense billowing explosion of light. And when it faded, it was peace who continued to glow for me. She looked at me, and I knew that she knew I saw her aura. Not Charity, the woman I loved, but peace. I have remained angry with deity since that moment, the moment I knew that I would make the greatest sacrifice of my life and take peace as my Kaylee, as deity commanded. Matteo Zakarian, Capitulo 79.
Patriciala wandered along the beach while the tide receded. Across the Purple River lay her father's workshop in the town of Promesa, where he crafted the royal color purple. In Estolia, the abundance of purple marked its uniqueness. Patriciala's father mastered the art of creating a consistent dye, supplying the royal clothier who fashioned Estolia's flags, uniforms, and state outfits. The small, perfect semicircle beach revealed the Willowall cave at low tide. Since age 10, she had gathered discarded willowall eggs in spring for her father's royal dye. Her responsibility ensured no one else entered the cave. She and her youngest brother inherited their father's tolerance of the willowall dust. Most Estolians, plagued by sneezing fits within minutes, avoided the cave. Apollyon, immune to the cave's dusty air, shared her rare tolerance. The season for gathering willowall eggs had passed, yet she continued visiting the cave. The willowall birds greeted her warmly, inviting her gentle pats and scratches beneath their awkward horned beaks. While her brothers dismissed them as ugly, Patriciala cherished their quirky charm. Her thoughts seemed to summon them, and a loud honking squawk drew her gaze to her favorite woolcock. Surely he was the largest willowall she had ever seen. Grounded by his size, he waddled to the river for Tarsus snails, though often his willow ends delivered him tasty morsels. He gazed up at her imperiously, clearly expecting a treat. She retrieved a mayberry fruit from her pocket. While poisonous to humans, mayberry fruit delighted the willowalls. He snapped it up, rind and all, then approached her, rubbing his great horned beak against her leg. Releasing a chuckling noise she recognized as happiness. She scratched under and around his beak, brushing back the extra feathers. Satisfied, he waddled to his favorite perch, overseeing his hens with a watchful eye. The light from the beach dimmed, and she yelped, startled, then recognized Apollyon. Joyful, she rushed to him, wrapping him in a warm embrace.
Tricia.
He said her name, his voice a soothing balm to her nerves as always.
Is it the season to gather willowall eggs?
He knew as well as she did that it wasn't. She giggled, their shared secret clear as they exchanged knowing glances. The birds rustled in their nests, heads tucked under wings to escape the day's heat. Later, they would feast on Tarsus snails, but for now they remained quiescent. Apollyon drew her close, his hands firm on her hips, his lips melding with hers. She responded passionately, feeling the warmth of his desire against her body, igniting her own heated response. It was akin to the frothing bubbles of the tide in the labyrinthine tide pools along the river's edge.
In less than 3 weeks, I will be 30. Will you be my queen, my Kaylee?
He murmured, his breath warm on her ear, his lips gently brushing the sensitive skin just beneath her earlobe.
Oh yes, Apollo, I want nothing more,
She said, her voice low and full of longing. She thought about the beautiful palace and about being the most important woman in Estolia. Her desire to be queen was second only to her longing to be with Apollyon for the rest of her life. Their kisses and caresses grew heated, fueling an ever-building desire. Their entangled bodies sank to the sandy floor of the cave without her noticing. The touch of his strong fingers on her thighs elicited tiny gasps of pleasure and pleading from her. She explored his body with the same freedom as he explored hers. His naked skin warmed her inner thighs, focusing her desire purely on him. A brief sting of fullness paused her passion, but their embrace soon deepened, more intimate than before. The flood of warmth washing through her body brought forth a cry of pleasure from her lips. After a time, he moved away, lying on his back next to her. As his breathing settled, she bit her lip, the reality of their moment sinking in.
Apollo.
She said hesitantly,
You're not yet 30.
Don't worry, Trisha. You will always be mine. Peritasis assured me that it is only a superstition.
He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close as they drifted into sleep, her head resting on his shoulder. The feel of his hand, cupping her intimately, woke her up. When she opened her eyes, he smiled before the expression melted off his face, and he was kissing her. In moments, they were coming together again. She moaned at the sensation of his touch, aching desire for his possession surging within her. She giggled as he playfully pushed her backward into the soft sand, the grains caressing her skin like tiny warm fingers. Then he was kissing her, his thighs hard between her own. She felt delightfully wicked to allow him to possess her in the salty tang of the wild Willowall cave. His voice, a harmonious counterpoint to her own passionate cries, rose in unison with their bodies. She felt a flood of warmth within as he moved above her, their bodies entwined. After he pulled away and used his handkerchief to rinse her off, she did not feel anything like what her mother described when she took her father's soul into her keeping. But, she reasoned, it was unlikely to be as her mother described. The older generation was always over-dramatizing everything. She would not trade the sensations she had just experienced or her future as Queen of Estolia for anything.
Connected hearts defy the old. In our embrace, a story bold.
Where rain is one, no backward glance. In our kingdom, we take a chance.